Man, Ninja Turtle, you better stop poking me.
What is your name?
My name is Peter Quill, okay? Dude, chill out.
Move!
Why?
Ronan may have questions for you.
Hey, you know what? There's another name you might know me by. Star-Lord.
Who?
Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw.
Hey there, Enthusiacs. Welcome back to Hero Talk. I'm your host, Judge Greg. Joining me today, I have returning champion Axalon.
What's going on?
And newcomer to my Hero Talk, I got Brian. Brian, how you doing?
Not bad. Good to be here.
All right, so today's film is Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, as you know, Hero Talk, we are a spoiler podcast, and our rules are as follows. We will try our best to stay on topic and to stay to the movie at hand. But basically, anything that has been officially released on any stage, on any movie, in any forum, is fair game. We can spoil it because nobody wants to censor themselves. So you've been forewarned. Let's do it. Guys, I kind of like this movie.
I love this movie.
Yeah. I will say, though, now, this opening scene, I'm gonna jump right to the opening scene, because this is kind of a funny story. I went to a cheaper theater to see it, because 3D movies screw with my head. So I usually go to a theater that I know does not have 3D, so I don't have to worry about which screen times I can get into and what theater I can watch it in. Mm-hmm. And I was at one of those movies, they didn't have that, you know how like before the movie starts they have the whole silence your cell phone and like you're like on the roller coaster of the track made of film and you're going through and the giant popcorn's popping overhead and they do the sound. They didn't have any of that. So I see this opening scene with like the kid in the hospital with the mom dying, and I have no idea the movie has started. I honestly think I'm watching a trailer for the next, film in the trailer right after the Big Hero 6 or whatever. And I watched the whole thing kind of thinking, what is the point of this movie? Up until he gets abducted by aliens. And then the Marvel thing shows up. And I realize I'm watching Guardians right now. And it just makes me realize, like, what an effective opening scene. Because I had no idea what I was watching up until the aliens show up. And it's like, wow, it's like I'm a metaphor for Peter Quill.
That's clueless until aliens abduct you.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. It was very nice. Now, I went back to see it again in that same theater, and I almost wanted to let my buddies know, but we had gotten to the theater super late, so I thought they would just assume they were in a preview, so I decided to be a good guy and be like, this is the movie! But it was one of those deals where we're trying to figure out what movie to watch, and this is how much I like this movie, because I asked these guys, have you seen Guardians yet? And they all said no, and I'm like, oh, well, we gotta go see Guardians. And then there was this whole moment where they're like, no, you've already seen it, we don't want to make you see it. I'm like, no, I don't think you understand, this is not a discussion at this point. You guys need to go into this movie theater, and you need to watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
My girlfriend had bought 3D tickets for it once, and I can't remember why, but we ended up having to change it. I think like we wanted to use a coupon or something. Oh no, it was we wanted to go with some friends the first time, and like you, like one of them can't take 3D very well, so we thought, why give up the 3D tickets? We'll just change the time, and if we want to get our money back later, we'll try to do that. Actually, I don't think we could, but anyway. So we we go to see it Friday night, rescheduled the tickets for Sunday, and after we saw it the first time, there was no doubt in our minds we were going back Sunday.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I think a lot of it relies on the cast, and I want to actually talk about the cast for a second, because the cast of this movie almost seems like as haphazardly put together as the Guardians themselves.
Yeah.
It's you got this, if you would have, first of all, I had no idea who the Guardians were before I had heard of this movie. I can't say before I walked in the theater, because it's not like I shut off my internet for 6 months.
Well, even if you're a diehard Marvel fan, that's kind of understandable, because the team has actually changed a couple times.
Yeah,
plus just the IP in general is just kind of obscure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was obscure.
Yeah, now they're not.
No, not anymore.
I'm assuming now if you were to pick up a Guardians comic, they probably have a team very similar to the team we saw in the theater.
Similar,
yeah, that is actually the current iteration of the Guardians.
Okay.
I figured as much.
Yeah. Isn't there? I'm going to kind of play off. I am a comic book fan, and I have read a lot of comics, mostly DC. But I mean, I've done my share of comics. Like I know what the Secret Wars are and all that other stuff. But like, wasn't at one point like Silver Surfer in the Guardians and Captain Marvel? And am I thinking of the right group here?
Maybe, I'm not
Am I
sure.
confusing the Defenders with the Guardians? Maybe.
No, because the Defenders were like street level guys.
Okay.
Oh no,
Um,
no, Defenders
no?
were like top tier. Like they make the Avengers look like children.
I thought, yeah, the Defenders.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
want
really?
to say at one point,
Yeah.
Defenders was like the Hulk, Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, and Namor.
I think that's them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because like the Defenders that are going to be in the MCU are like Daredevil and Power Man and all that. Like the ones they're putting on Netflix.
Yeah, I know
Oh.
the original Defenders were like the ultimate team in Marvel as far as like power, but
Okay.
I think nowadays it's just like you said, Daredevil, more street level.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about this cast. Chris Pratt. Now, I don't know if you guys watch Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I do. So I knew exactly who it was from Chris Pratt, and it just. So my first thought is, well, that guy, because Andy, and he does play Star-Lord. I didn't know Star-Lord from the comics, but this does kind of feel a little bit like Andy Dwyer in space.
Well, except I think like Star-Lord has more brains, like better survival instincts.
He's
I
more
don't see
competent. Yeah.
I don't see
I
Andy
saw him
Dwyer
as-
surviving in this line of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he was a little more goofballish than I think I remember Star-Lord being.
I think he was kind of like a more awkward Han Solo.
Yeah.
That may
Like,
have
he
been
had-
what he was going for.
Maybe. It's just like I saw him as like it's like Han Solo if he was like messing up half the time
Yeah.
instead of being like this cool like rogue character.
It's like, it's kind of like he was 12 years old when he was kidnapped. So it's kind of like in his head he sort of had this idea of what was cool, and with no actual real parenting growing up, like he's now this adult trying to be what he thought was cool as a kid.
Yeah, I've heard that description before.
Yeah.
Bunch of 80s cartoons and movies.
Yeah, so if that's what he was going
Yeah.
for, it was good. Now, and forgive me for saying this, but because he takes his shirt off all the time in Parks and Rec, and he is a chunk on that show. And then he's in that delousing scene in this movie, and the guy was like made of iron.
Ripped.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, I think he started working out when he started thinking about auditioning for this part. Like I heard an interview with him where he said like when he was a kid, like he'd draw like superheroes, like while he was in school and that kind of thing, and he'd draw them ripped, and he'd look at them in the comics, they're ripped in there. So he being a big superhero fan, he wanted to pay service to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's appreciated, but the funny thing is, like, for all that work he did, it only shows up for about 30 seconds in that one scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was funny. They actually, I was catching up on Parks and Rec, and they explained like the character's weight loss as he just stopped drinking beer and he lost like 50 pounds.
Ha.
I mean, it was this simple line of dialogue. He's like, "Yeah, I just lost like 50 pounds. What'd you do?" Like, "I just stopped drinking beer." And the guy's like, "How much beer were you drinking?" Like, "Apparently, way too much." And that was it. That was the end of. This is why Andy is now ripped.
Well, it's like when it comes to Andy, that's you don't care about that.
Yeah.
You want to see what was it? His shoe shine service, and then
Yeah.
and then what else was he working on?
He was in Mouse Rat.
Yeah,
And in season 6, I think that's the newest one that just got on Netflix.
he went to England.
He goes to England for a while. That's how they explain why he's not on the show while he's filming Guardians. And then he comes back and he becomes a children's singer named Johnny Karate.
Yes. Oh, I love Johnny Karate.
Yeah. The funny thing is, so there's a couple of scenes in this movie where Star-Lord sings, and he doesn't sing like Andy Dwyer does, which is kind of weird because when he's singing as Andy, he's trying to do kind of a poor man's Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
So-
I always get like a Kurt Cobain
Yeah.
vibe from what he's trying to do.
Yeah. But still, I mean, it would have been nice if Star-Lord had dug into a nice rendition of Bye Bye Lil Sebastian. I think we all would have appreciated that. Just put a character in there named Sebastian so we can, I don't know.
But speaking of the music in this, did either of you ever notice whenever they were playing music, but besides the movie's score, like if they were ever playing like a pop like a popular music song, it was never like just there. Someone was listening to it.
Yeah. Like they would be piping it over
Yeah.
the movie like it was the soundtrack, but it was actually being played by somebody in the film while they were
Yeah.
doing that.
I thought that was a great way to do that.
Yeah. Also, longer on the topic, awesome soundtrack.
Oh my God, yes.
It's you gotta love it when you're hearing like, oh, what a you don't necessarily expect like the superhero cool slow motion walking montage to be done to Cherry Bomb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's walking in this hallway with pina colada. He's
Yeah, it was and it was they introduced it nice and early into the movie so that you knew that was just going to be a part of how things worked. Yeah, I was a big fan of that. Let's talk Zoe Saldana. This poor girl has always got to be wearing makeup or something for her action roles.
oh, blue, now
yeah.
she's green.
Yeah.
And
I mean, listen, I like Zoe Saldana. I know there are the haters out there that don't think that she should be playing a tough guy. I don't care. I liked Colombiana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And there was the Losers too, which
Yeah.
I thought was very underrated.
Yeah, I agree. I think The Losers I thought was much more fun, but people just didn't really give it a chance.
No.
I actually don't like her in Star Trek. I just feel like she's not doing enough to be there.
Well,
she stole the third title from Bones. It's Kirk, Spock, and Uhura now instead of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Poor Bones. That's a shame.
The Star Trek trifecta is shattered.
And Carl Urban does a great Bones. It's like he channels
does.
DeForest Kelly. It's crazy.
He is
Yeah.
McCoy.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, but all right. So now Rocket Raccoon. Now of all the Guardians, I'd maybe heard of two of them, and the only people that I actually sort of knew existed prior to this was Rocket Raccoon and Groot. Full disclosure, didn't know Groot's name, but just knew there was a giant talking tree.
Uh-huh.
Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon. I saw this movie. I said I've seen it twice in the theaters, and it does not sound like Bradley Cooper.
He does a really good job of putting on like a good like what is that like a Brooklyn accent?
Yeah, it's almost like I don't know where a raccoon gets a Brooklyn accent from, but it's fun, so I let it go.
Well, it is a
Yeah.
talking raccoon, so we might as well let some things slide.
Yeah.
I mean, he was genetically modified. Maybe like whoever did it put that in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it happened in Brooklyn.
Maybe.
Possible.
Things go down in Brooklyn sometimes.
Yeah. They don't get talked about. We just let it happen.
Right. And now, I think the most overpaid guy in the movie is Vin Diesel.
You know what? I would disagree with you there.
Really? I mean, they basically just had to record one line and say it over and over and over again. And now, was Vin Diesel on set? Is this how it works? Does he wear like a big motion capture suit on stilts and is in the scene with people?
I don't think he was doing that. No.
Aw,
think
I
they
thought
had
that would be
someone
awesome
else.
to see like a production scene where it's Vin Diesel on stilts walking around. You're like, I am Groot.
Well, I mean, if they did it, no one's ever talked about it.
Yeah, I didn't actually know because I know he showed up to the premiere wearing stilts, and that made me wonder, like, is he actually the dude? Because,
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Because, there's no way Bradley Cooper could have possibly been Rocket Raccoon because he's little.
I can't remember how they did Rocket. I don't know if I saw a video on that. I do know with Vin Diesel what they did with him. Like, yeah, he did say the same line over and over and over again, but like his script was huge because it was like on the left you had just the words "I am Groot," and on the right it was what he was trying what kind
he
of
was trying to
sentiment he was
convey.
trying to yeah. So it's like he'd say the same thing over and over and over again, but he'd be trying to put in different tones, different inflections, rather than like it's not just a repeat of "I am Groot, I am Groot."
Yeah, I joke, but yeah, I've actually heard that too. That he was actually very much a perfectionist in terms of making sure he got the right "I am Groot," and even at one point, I think they had cast other people, and he was the only one who could say "I am Groot" in a way that the producers liked.
Probably. And another interesting thing, like all the international dubs.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a few of the international trailers for like Russian, Polish, Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get someone else to come in and redub it. That was him.
Really?
Yeah, like there's video of him saying it in these different languages.
Well, you know what? Good for him, then.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's brand new to me.
Yeah, search like Guardians of the Galaxy, like Russian trailer or, Brazilian trailer. You'll see it.
Wow, good on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think who's left? We haven't talked about Drax the Destroyer, played by
Dave Bautista.
Dave the Animal Bautista. I don't know if he still goes.
Animal?
That's when he was a pro wrestler when I was watching pro wrestling, and now that's been over 10 years, so give me some credit. But there was at one point where he was called Dave the Animal Bautista. I don't know how long it lasted. I just remember he was wrestling as Batista, and then suddenly they threw in the Dave one day, and I was like, I'm not as afraid of Dave as I am of Batista.
No.
He's the guy who you're like, oh, they got some guy who looks the part, and I did not think he was going to pull this off. I was wrong. I'm going to say it. He made me like Drax, and I actually believed it. I really did.
What I liked about like Drax, like a lot of people are like raving about Rocket with good reason.
Yeah.
You know, people like Rocket, people like Star-Lord and Groot. But like Drax, like I feel like he's being like overshadowed by Rocket Raccoon. He was awesome in this movie.
He was. Even from his very introduction, I liked him in it when he doesn't understand metaphor, and he's just like, I like this knife, I'm keeping it. And he just walks away. Like,
Yes.
I
would not put my finger on his throat.
I would cut his head clean off.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
That was great. When in the one scene where he's like, "You dumb tree, you are my friend. You green whore." Oh man, yeah, he was.
I am not a princess.
He was one of my favorite characters in this movie. Now, I loved Groot in this. I ended up falling in love with Groot because I didn't know enough about the character. I thought he was going to be sort of like, I thought in terms of the team dynamic, he was the Hulk. Like, oh, he's dumb, he doesn't say anything, and
No, he's Chewy.
yeah, no, I was wrong. He's Chewy. He is a funny Chewy, and Groot very rapidly became the guy that I would watch from scene to scene. It says something because I actually very much like Chris Pratt, and I really thought I was gonna love him in this part. And now I did like him. I did, but he got overshadowed in my eyes by Drax and Groot. And I did like Rocket. I do. I still laugh when Rocket's like looking at the little kid learning to walk. He's like, look at you. You think you're so cool. Walk by yourself.
I mean, and I really wanted to say this. Like, I started watching the movie again before we did this. I just wanted to point out Groot's animators managed to bring out more emotion than all of David Cage's games combined.
Oh yeah, poor David.
Oh, David Cage.
David Cage needs to find out who did the eyes for Groot and get that guy to come on board because
It's like, well, it's
his team has not figured out eyes yet. They're dead eyes, and it's crazy.
Why does this giant tree have eyes that are so lifelike? Doesn't make sense.
Like he gets emotions as like, you know, happy and sad, like to like an extreme, but he doesn't get the subtle nuances of what each one is. Like every time Groot thinks he's done a good thing, that look on his face, like, are you impressed?
Yeah. Look what I did.
It's
like when he throws his fist through that whole line of like the
and at 30 people, and he just wrecks.
Yeah, and he wrecks the whole group of them, and then he just learns like, check that out.
It's like, did I do good?
Look what I can do.
Yeah, he's so proud of himself. It was such a fun scene. Listen, I like this movie. If I had to say something negative about this movie, and I'm going to sound like the old fuddy-duddy here, but hear me out. There was a lot of profanity in it. And I'm not one of these guys who thinks movies need to be rated G all the time. However, like the first thing I think about when I see a movie like this is I can't wait to share this with my daughter. And then there's all this profanity. I'm like, when she's 30. But that's the one negative part about it because it was so much fun. And I think to myself like, oh, kids should be watching this. And if they had cleaned it up, kids could have been watching this.
Well, considering the kids these days, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know,
yeah,
there were a bunch of kids in there.
I wouldn't mind that so much. It was it was when it got a little salty at times. And again, I'm not saying you can't do that, but then there was a little bit of innuendo, like, man, you got a black light in here, and I'm like, oh,
oh my god,
yeah, that joke.
I don't want to have
to
explain that one to someone.
Yeah, I mean, there's like what Pixar does, where, you know, like there's the subtle adult jokes.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I get someone else to watch The Sheep tonight. Like, there's that.
And this is more in your face.
And then there's the blacklight joke.
Yeah, that's one I don't want to have to explain to a young one someday, and that's no. Personally, I enjoyed it, and I will probably watch this movie again and again, and I will. It's a definite Blu-ray purchase and to rewatch, but it was a movie that I enjoyed to such an extent that I would have loved. Because it felt like, I'm going to try not to be over dramatic when I say it, but it's like our Star Wars, keeping in mind that I was alive for Star Wars, but
I was not.
At least for...
No, there was that other trilogy that happened.
Oh, yeah. That one that we try not to think about too much.
Right. No, great. Okay, so I wasn't alive for the original Star Wars. I should clarify that point. But I was alive for Empire and Jedi. and was actually old enough to have been a part of the Jedi media hype campaign. So I was around and conscious and aware of that. And Star Wars was a big part of my growing up. So I find it hard to say it's my Star Wars because I was kind of around a little bit for the first Star Wars. At least I was old enough to understand it, while maybe being a little too young to really get the full grasp of the trilogy.
It's just that, Star Wars wasn't really made for our generation. They were made for the last generation.
Right. Yeah, exactly. This one was made for our generation. And I also think it really helped that I knew almost goose egg about the Guardians of the Galaxy, so that finally it's a comic book movie where I don't have to sit there and go like, well, that's not right. Oh, that's not that's not what that guy does. And I try so hard not to do that so I can enjoy the movie. And it was very nice to have a movie where I didn't know any better.
Yeah, for all we knew, they were tossing half the stuff from the comic out the window, but we didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes it more about the only person that I recognized was Thanos.
Yeah, because he's the big Marvel thing they're building up to.
And I think he's going to be the big bad in Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah, Avengers 3 and 3.5 or whatever.
Whatever they're doing. So what's the deal after that though? Are they just going to restart again? And be like, all right, well recast because.
I had a theory
I think Infinity War and then go on Infinity War. All right, so now let's do Avengers Reassemble because it's not going to work.
Well, my theory on that is if they're going anything close to what the comic book did, which is the whole Infinity Gauntlet where he's gathering all the stones for his glove, his gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
Basically in the comics you became God when you had that and all the gems, so you could do anything. What if they do, because actors they get older, or like Chris Evans, he's retiring from acting.
Yeah.
It's what if they decide, hey, we have this magical device, lets us do anything. Let's just reboot the universe with it.
Yeah, that just seems a bit too contrived.
I think it's very contrived and lame, but I wouldn't put it past them if they want to keep churning out films, and eventually Robert Downey Jr. gets too expensive or too old. Hey, let's rejuvenate Iron Man.
Yeah. I honestly don't see that happening mainly because they've introduced. They said they're going to introduce Captain Marvel. They're going to introduce Black Panther. They're going to introduce a few other people. I think from what I heard, after Age of Ultron or after Captain America 3, Captain America is going to go out and recruit this whole a whole bunch of other Avengers, and then they're probably going to be part of it. It's probably not going to be the one after that is probably not going to be called the Avengers Reassembled or anything. They're probably going to call it New Avengers, which is what
something like that probably.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Which is what Captain Marvel was part of.
Oh yeah, you could. You know what? I'm going to throw this out there, and for any of the Marvel execs listening, just remember where you heard this from. I want to see JLA Avengers. Let's make that happen. Disney and Warner Brothers, you get together. You shake hands like you did with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and you make this happen for me.
This isn't the 90s anymore. DC and Marvel aren't on speaking terms. They hate each other.
I want to see.
I don't trust Warner Brothers with anything.
Oh, no. I want to be clear on this. I want Disney making this film.
Oh, yeah.
I just want Warner Brothers to give them the rights, and then you can split the movie 50-50. How's that?
Warner Brothers isn't letting DC call any of the shots in the movie, so I don't see that happening.
I know. You know what? What happened to the trust? Back in 1989, they trusted them with Bugs Bunny, and they trusted them with Daffy Duck and Speedy Gonzales, and then all of a sudden, now we fast forward, and it's like, oh, you can't touch Batman. It's a little bit of ridiculous.
Well, it is
Warner Brothers showed just how ridiculous they are when the standing rule for all DC movies is no jokes.
Yeah, listen, I understand you don't want them to be jokey, funny, ha-ha, and listen, we've seen what happens when they become jokey. I saw Iron Man 3, so I know what happens when you start joking a little too much for the gift situation.
I think they're still recovering from Batman and Robin. I think that's where the no jokes policy comes from.
Well, no, I think it wasn't Batman and Robin. It was Green Lantern.
Yeah,
but you see, they need to understand the difference between a comedy movie and a movie with comic relief.
Yeah, it helps. It helps alleviate some of the tension. You can only do that so many times. Some of those Chris Nolan Batman movies, they are a little emotionally draining without any levity to them.
Oh my God, yes.
Especially the third one. That one was draining.
Well, I did enjoy the third one. I will say that it was a little bit draining on an emotional level, to the point where after watching it a second time, I had to say to myself, I think I'm not going to watch this movie for a while. But while we're still on the cast, Although we've been on the cast for a while, but I just kind of want to throw this out there. Karen Gillan as Nebula. I just want to give her a bit of a shout out because she shaved her head to play Nebula.
Yes, she did.
Well, it's like, my thing there is like I didn't know anything about Nebula before I went to go see this, and then I read like the Infinity Gauntlet series, from Marvel. She didn't have to shave her head. She already had the right length and the right shade. Why not just keep it?
You know what? I think she looks cooler with a shaved head.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was cool, but like they didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
They just decided to do it.
Yeah, I mean, great.
Maybe they just wanted to avoid her looking like Amy Pond.
That's also true.
That is a distinct possibility.
People are gonna, is the whole time. Now, I'm not even a Doctor Who fan, mind you, and the whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm like, why do I know that face? Both times I saw it, the only thing I'm thinking is I know her from something. And granted, now I'm going to say again, I don't watch Doctor Who, but she's that ingrained to that character that even me, as removed from Doctor Who fandom as people can get, know her as Amy Pond.
Yeah, and well, even me, like I'm a Doctor Who fan. I've seen the seasons with her in it, a few times. I was looking at the character going, I know that's her, but I just like every now and then, like her face would take on the right expression, or she'll walk the right way, and then it'll click. But for the most part, like listening to her and looking at her, I think it did seem like a big disconnect, like it was a big leap from one to the other.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Now, a couple of stars I'm just going to give mention to. We're not going to spend a whole ton of time on these characters, but Michael Rooker, I don't care who he plays, even if he plays a Kree, the guy, it's still, I feel like it's Michael Rooker.
Yeah.
Like that's
it was Blue Michael Rooker, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually if you hire an actor like that, you know what you're getting. You're not getting anything but that guy, and that's exactly what you want.
Yeah. However, it's not like that's a bad thing. That wasn't a dig. That was good to see him. Glad to see him there. Same with John C. Reilly. You know who you're getting with John C. Reilly, and he did a great job, and I liked him. And Benicio del Toro as the Collector. Mm-hmm. I don't remember his real name, so I'm just going to call him the Collector.
Tannelir Tavan.
Let's just go with Collector.
Yeah. I have
no
chance being able to reproduce that name.
Collector.
He was good. Now there was some cameos. I looked these up. People that Stan Lee's in it, obviously, because he's in all these movies, which is getting old. I am now officially
like Stan Lee.
Yeah, I'm officially getting sick of the Stan Lee cameo. The guy is insane. Have you heard his interviews? He talks about how he invented the word Mjolnir.
What?
Yeah, no, I've heard him say this. It was a Kevin Smith interview with the guy, and he was talking about Mjolnir. He's like, I think it was my brother-in-law who came up with this name, Mjolnir, and nobody really knew how to say it because it's a made-up word. And I'm looking at my screen in this stunned disbelief, like, did Stan Lee just take credit for inventing Norse mythology?
Reinventing it.
Yeah.
So... Even the movie Thor, it's like they bring they grab this book of Norse mythology and look, there's Mjolnir.
Yeah, I don't think he's trying to take credit for things he didn't do. I think the man has a terrible memory and doesn't want to not have an answer for something.
Possible.
Yeah. Because, I mean, he's like, I've heard more than a few stories about him remembering meeting somebody who he's never met and, saying like...
He's senile. He's what, in his 80s at this point?
He's quite old. Yeah, I'll give him that.
Yeah, he's got to be senile at this point. I'm surprised Marvel lets him out.
I am too, a little bit. Let's see.
Who let him out for the cameo scene?
He does his cameos. Yeah. And he goes right back in the standing box. A couple more cameos. Nathan Fillion played a voice of one of the inmates. I listened for him. I couldn't hear him.
No, it's probably like a Yelp or something that you'll never ever.
I think he was when they first go to prison. He was the big blue alien who tried to claim Peter Quill as
That's possible.
Oh, maybe.
And then like grabs him by the nostrils and like lifts him up.
Oh yeah. That was a fun scene.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie was the voice of the Ravager Navigator. And then Seth Green was the voice of Howard the Duck.
Yep.
Yeah, I knew that one.
And there was also Glenn Close was in there.
Glenn Close, yeah, she was. She played with Nova Prime.
Yep.
I don't know a whole lot about the Nova stuff from the comics, so I
don't know much about Nova Prime. I mean, I know that the suits were actually like kind of spot on. Like they had like all the important parts, like the three connected dots.
Yeah.
And the helmets were shaped right, but I mean, otherwise it looked more functional than anything else, which I really appreciated.
The only Nova I was familiar with was because I've played Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Where Nova is a character, and he was nothing like in the movie they were like space cops,
right?
Essentially. And
Yeah.
in
Well,
the
no, that's
game,
what-
he was like this super powered fireball throwing, laser shooting. I was like, that's completely different from what I saw in the game. But okay, movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, the thing about the Nova Corps is like they're supposed to be like the Green Lantern Corps. So
Yeah, I've
Nova,
heard that analogy. Yeah.
So Nova is, a member of the Nova Corps, and like the way the powers work is like the higher rank you are, the more powerful you are.
Huh. Yeah, I actually did not know that.
So Nova Prime is like the ultimate.
Yeah, so if you don't want to throw down with her if you can avoid it.
So where was she?
Where was she?
Yeah, well, why wasn't she like blasting?
Well,
what's his
because
face?
she was watching from the command center.
Yeah, she was commanding. I'm sure if she had to, she would have gone into a
Yeah.
one-on-one fight, but she didn't have to.
That does seem like the opposite way to do. Like, we need to send all the lower powered people in first, and we need to hold back the higher powered people. Like,
Cannon fodder.
yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Like James Gunn has actually said he doesn't like the idea of the Nova Corps. He used them because he had to. So if there ever is like a Nova movie in the works, he's not touching it.
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm kind of a little disappointed he had to, though, because that's
I can understand his sentiment because, like we just said, it's a lot like the Green Lantern Corps.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably want to avoid too many similarities to that.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I do know that Glenn Close does have a multi-picture contract. So
But, yeah, they're talking about another 2 Guardians movies. So, well, the second one's already happening, but
yeah,
That one's like slated, but like James Gunn has said he already has ideas for number 3.
well, good, because I don't like when they get to like, oh, now we got to think up something new. Like, have something in mind.
Yeah, actually, funny thing, like James Gunn, when he was approached, like in the meeting, he turned it down, and then because he said, it was like, I really just can't see it, guys. And so he left. He was like, I think he was like driving home, and like it all started to form in his head. And like when he got home, he called him back. It's like, I changed my mind. I want to do this.
Yeah, I did not know much about James Gunn. Like, I've looked through what he's done. Of all his movies, I've seen a handful of them, but I mean, he's all over the place with Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2. Yes, I've seen those. Let's see, what else is he?
He also did, he did Super.
Mm-hmm.
He directed Super, and he was a director and writer for Lollipop Chainsaw.
I did hear that too, yeah. I'm very surprised that Gunn was able to pull it off. I'm surprised about the whole thing, because I don't know anything about these characters. So, well, yeah, it does give you the chance to like just tell whatever story you want. You don't have to worry about the history, but it's easy to screw up a movie like this. I saw Green Lantern. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
And
I have not seen Green Lantern, so
yeah, it's just
I think what happened was like Marvel gives their movie makers like just enough creative control to where like, each movie feels different, but they'll still like go in and just like change like little details in terms of like the plot and the story, so it doesn't affect the other movies too much. Warner Brothers, I think, is a little more micromanaging in like what goes into the movie itself, but in terms of plot, they probably don't worry about continuity all that much.
yeah, I think Warner Bros. Is a bit more micromanaging than Marvel, who to be fair also do their own micromanaging.
Yeah, but at least Marvel is doing the micromanaging and not Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Disney was doing it, it would be a lot worse.
So the story of this film, I liked it. It's so easy to screw it up and like to make it work to the point where, I mean, it is not easy to make me get emotionally behind the relationship between a raccoon and a tree. And I was there. Like, they had me on board. They had me emotionally invested in characters. And I thought they did a very good job. And things made sense. I saw it twice. So when you see it the second time, you're kind of looking for the plot holes. And listen, I don't try to be CinemaSins. I don't go searching them out to point them out. But I notice them when they're there. And it's a pretty tight plot.
I mean, like, most of the Marvel movies, hog the screen for like 2.5 hours. This one kept it to 2.
Yeah, I'm liking that direction. Some of these movies get so long, and I have checked out. But this one is tight. It's called pacing, people.
Yeah.
It's pacing. Just because it's long doesn't mean it's good. You need to maintain a good pace. You need to slow it down where it needs it. And plus, I like the characters. Just having them interact with each other.
Yes.
Well, it's just like, well-written characters who are different from really just about, they're either different from anything you've ever seen before, or you can almost call Chris Pratt or Star-Lord like a parody of Han Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to earlier. How he's like this awkward, bumbling type of Han Solo character. He's that.
Actually, considering his age, he might have been trying to be Han Solo.
That's true. He would have been. Let's see. When was he abducted? Does anybody remember the year?
I think it was
Oh, God.
1989
Nineteen-
because he knew Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah, so he would have.
He knew
So
he knew a couple of things. He knew Footloose. He
Yep.
knew Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles. He knew lots of like late '80s or almost early '90s.
Yeah, so he would have.
I remember
Yeah, so I don't
the
know if
early
he would
90s.
have probably known Star Wars then. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So he
I
would
mean,
have
he
known.
was
So maybe
12.
he was literally trying to be Han Solo. Maybe
Yeah.
we need to consider that, and maybe that's a crossover that we need. Now that Disney owns them both, we can just make that kind of
This
stuff
is
happen.
true.
Oh
They
man,
can,
that's gonna be
they can make it
nuts.
happen.
Let's go, Disney. I am giving you $1 million ideas here. Just kick me a check. I can keep
Yeah,
this all day long.
Yeah, I think the characters is what really made this movie work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the
like,
action
because-
scenes work. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say they
The
don't.
action,
But
the action is good. The story was easy to follow, if a bit simple. But I think if the characters had been less or more badly written than what they were, or if the casting wasn't as good as what we got, like I don't think this movie would have worked as well. Just trying to go off the plot and lackluster characters. Like the characters made this movie good.
yeah. And part of the way that works is because you're so behind these characters, and the characters themselves are written as that they don't so much care about what's going on.
Mhm.
So you just get now he's got superpowers, and the guys are like, all right. And you sit there like, well, if Star-Lord and Groot are on board with this, then I guess I am too. Sure, why not? He's got powers now. Because they make so many references to things like that are way beyond the scope of the movie, and everyone is just kind of like, yeah, no. Payday, money time. So it really gets them out of the way of like, so now we don't have to dance the dance of exposition. Now we can just be like, no, these guys don't care about any of that. Oh, you're in an old celestial being, don't care. Money.
Yeah. They give you just enough exposition to say like this is kind of what's going on, but it's not crucial to the plot, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, most of the exposition they got out of the way fairly early on. It was in that prison lineup scene when they take like the mug shots.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is a talking raccoon who was experimented on, and now he's a thief with a pet tree, and
Yeah.
So I do say like Rocket's little meltdown in the bar is probably like one of the best forms of exposition I saw in the movie.
That makes the character.
Yeah.
It makes the character. I don't know.
Yeah.
What
Well,
I
no,
was.
it felt natural. It felt
yes.
a bit more natural than when Drax suddenly shows up and he's like choking Gamora. He's like, "No, my wife was murdered, and I am Drax. This is why I am angry." And
That was so clunky. Like
Yeah.
when I was first watching this movie, like it was really hard for me to get over just the cringeworthy dialogue in a lot of places. I was like, oh my god, stop talking.
Yeah, that one was not good. Although you get it followed up. It's that great prison break scene.
Mhm.
It was topping one of my favorite scenes in the movie. You just where like they set out the plan, and he's like, you got to get that guy's leg, and the
Yes.
payoff of that is great.
Yes.
It
That
man.
was awesome.
And then and he's like, so we got to get the battery from that purple thing back there, but we got to get it last. And Groot's just grabbing it, and he's like, look what I got. So
Yeah, I mean, it was like they needed a fight scene.
yeah,
And it was like, okay, we can either contrive it to where, they do, like Rocket says, okay, we need that. And then in the heat of things, he's like, now I need you to go get this. Now I need you to go get this. And it's like, well, why didn't you say that before? Now it's like, we know we needed them before, and he wanted to do it last. Groot was just taking initiative.
yeah. It was a great scene. I'm gonna die surrounded by idiots, and finally he gives him the leg, and he's like, "No, I just thought it was funny to take his leg. Did he look funny hopping around?"
I like that after that scene, they set up what he's making another plan. He's like, "Give me his eye." He's like, putting some guy's robot eye,
Yeah,
and Peter Quill's like, "No, we don't really need his eye." He's like, "Yes, I do."
very
He's like,
important part of my plan.
and he's trying to hold in the laugh. It's like, yeah, I have it.
That was a good pit. Like the sad thing, I will go back to the jail scene just quickly. As funny as it is, and like it's great. Oh, we got the guy's leg. Was it funny hopping around? You got to remember that then the Kree came in and blew the whole thing up.
Yeah.
They killed
Yeah.
everybody on board. So that was a little sad face.
Yeah, and I think that was more to like just kind of flesh out like what kind of a person Ronan was.
Right. I get it.
Oh,
I'm not
speaking of
against it.
Ronan.
Well, what about Ronan?
Did you know that the very first scene that he's in, that water he's in, is not water.
Is
The
it
blood?
He's bathing in blood. Yes.
Yeah.
What?
I kind of figured from like when he killed that one guy and then like
Yeah.
kind of refills the whole thing.
Yeah, because it was the same colors, the same like texture. Yeah, he was swimming in alien blood that he was for people he was killing.
What did they actually use? Was it pig's blood? Because that would be hardcore.
I have no
I'm-
idea what they actually
I'm sure
used,
it was like
but-
colored water, or it was probably computer effects actually.
Yeah.
Because
Or-
considering like the way he comes out of it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Little fun fact about Ronan the Accuser. Hey, played by Lee Pace. Pace actually auditioned for Peter Quill.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, he was one of the original runners for it.
Yeah, like none of the original runners made it. Like they started having auditions for this thing way back, and they just couldn't find their guy. And Chris Pratt got it months and months after they'd already brought in a ton of actors to play him. Some other names I just remember off the top of my head is like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Auditioned for Peter Quill, and
I think
who else?
What's his name? The guy who plays Cyclops did too.
Oh yeah, James Marsden.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who else I just thought of? Mike Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor from Smallville. He auditioned.
Oh,
for Star.
I never watched Smallville, so.
He also was the voice of the Flash in the Justice League cartoon.
Didn't watch that either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's where, and I know. Anyway, the thing I like most about Ronan is you don't spend a whole ton of time on him. I don't know if he's from the comics or not, and it's
yeah, he is.
Sad. Yeah, I would assume so, but like I don't. Does he get superpowers? Does he work with Thanos?
They wouldn't make an original character. Oh no, gotta use that source material. Decades.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he ever like uses that particular Infinity Stone for all that, but that hammer is definitely like his thing.
Okay, well then I'm okay with it.
I wish
that
there had been
hammer
a bit more,
that hammer
Ronan.
actually has a name, and I can't remember what it is.
The name is
Mjolnir
Mjolnir.
2.0.
My cousin came up with that name back in 1978, and we didn't know how to say it.
I kind of wish there was a bit more Ronan in this movie.
Oh yeah, okay.
Really, I kind of
Yes.
thought Ronan was in it just enough.
I think he
think
could
so,
have used
too.
a bit more, just not like Joker level like with the Dark Knight, but like a bit more. I think would have helped flesh him out. Like as it was,
Yeah.
I felt like you could swap him out with what's his name in Thor: The Dark World.
Oh, the knight.
Oh,
I had to
no.
look his name up for that one. But yeah.
Malekith.
Malekith, yes. Like I
Yeah,
feel like
oh
you could
my-
take Ronan and Malekith and just switch them and put Ronan in Thor and Malekith in Guardians, and the plot would be exactly the same.
Isn't
I
the plot
disagree.
basically the same? Like, don't they both just want an Infinity Stone really, really badly?
Yes, they even attack a
Yeah.
city with a giant alien spaceship.
But with different reasons.
Yeah, they have-
they want their stones for different reasons.
Ronan wants to destroy a planet. Malekith wants to destroy the universe.
No, he doesn't want to destroy it. He wants to make it dark.
Yeah, because destroying it will make his realm like expand and become dark and.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, my problem with Malekith was like you never see him really do anything terrible. Like, okay, you see him kill Thor's mom. That was
sounds
it.
terrible, though. Like that's.
But, no, well, it's terrible. But
What
you
else
know,
did you want him to do?
but then you also see like Ronan orders the death of an entire of an entire it was a prison. But it was just a lot of people. He refers to it as cleansing. You see him assassinate a Nova Corps member, in his very first scene, and then he wants to literally wipe out the entire race living on a planet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Still, guy wanted to
Malekith
destroy the
made-
universe. I'm just saying.
Well, Malekith, he wanted to, but you never really see him do anything. You see him drop a bunch of his own ships on his own people, and then, but other than that, you just see him kind of hide in the shadows, plotting. He doesn't do a whole lot. Meanwhile, Ronan, like I said, is executing people. He's ordering like mass murders, and he attempts genocide.
That sounds pretty bad on the surface when you look at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like the good way to tell like how well they've fleshed out a villain. What's the word I'm looking for? How good does it feel when you finally see them taken down? And like I had that moment when Ronan was killed. I didn't get that when Malekith was killed.
Well, I think it was the way. Well, I didn't get that feeling when Ronan was killed. That yes,
Yeah.
mainly because it was kind of cheesy the way he died.
Well, he died via intergalactic dance-off.
Well, it was intergalactic dance off with the power of friendship, and I was like, it's cheesy,
Nothing
but
beats
it's
the
like
power
old
of
school
friendship.
cheesy.
Do
Yes,
you
I
not
know.
watch Yu-Gi-Oh? Nothing beats the power of friendship.
I wouldn't call that the power of friendship. That was the power of death channeled through multiple people.
Sustained by friendship
Yes,
and harnessed via dance.
I suppose.
What more do you want? I want every movie to end that exact way. I think Casablanca should have ended that way. Where Rick
It
gets
did. It's a
Infinity
beautiful
Stone and
friendship.
he dances, and then he holds Louis' hand, and it's a beautiful friendship, and then he zaps the Nazis off the planet, and that's how we win World War II. Warner Brothers. That's $1 million idea I just came up with for you. Give me a
No,
call.
they're gonna screw that up. I guarantee it.
No, the problem is they won't cast Rick correctly. They're going to get Ryan Reynolds as Rick, and that's just going to completely mess up the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, and the way they ended up killing Ronan, power of friendship, besides, with the Avengers, like it would have been like one guy attacks and then another guy attacks, and eventually like they would have subdued him. But like the Guardians of the Galaxy way to do it is Star-Lord distracts him while they fix the gun and then shoot him.
Yeah.
I mean, with the big like moon killing gun that destroys his hammer, like that is the way to do it in Guardians of the Galaxy.
I will say, and I said this during the Thor Hero Talk, is that Thor had the problem of not making me care about this villain.
Yeah.
And also had the problem of having this end fight scene that I just didn't care about because it was so boring. And you see what happens when you go the other route. It's like, well, instead, let's make it a dance-off, and then he shot with the gun, and then there's the Boone Crystal thing. And suddenly I care. Like, I cared when the raccoon lost his tree.
Did you? I mean, let's be honest.
I knew he was.
We knew he wasn't dead.
He wasn't actually dead, but
it was still.
It was a very emotional scene.
I'm like, you can imagine, like it was near death. Like I can kind of think like if Rocket didn't do something soon, Groot was gonna die.
Yeah.
Because like the only way to save him,
not all dead.
Because I mean, if all those sticks were gonna just keep growing, like you'd have more Groots out there. But no, he needed to get like the one stick and make sure it got into a pot and it got into soil.
Or what if there's like 100 Groots running around now?
Sequel.
Revenge of the Groots.
I'd watch that.
Attack of the Groots.
Attack of the
Yes.
Groots.
You know what? Yes. You know what? I want Guardians of the Galaxy 2 to end. I want the whatever villain it is in that movie. I want him to die by an army of Groots.
I agree, and I think I'd be okay with that.
I would be okay with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, Groot was a wonderful part of this movie. I'm very hard pressed to think if there's really any parts of the movie I truly didn't like. I mean, I even like that scene in Nowhere where Quill jumps out and takes his mask off and puts it on Gamora to keep her alive. And I've heard a number of people say like he would have died immediately in space, but then there's some science mumbo jumbo that actually explains why he wouldn't. And I didn't read it well enough to explain it here on Hero Talk.
Although I will say I'm so glad they didn't explain it in the movie, because
no, I don't need to know why the science works.
Yeah, no,
I am okay with lip service at best.
That's suspension of disbelief. I beat that drum so hard. I just want people to shut up and watch the movie.
You give me something, I am okay with it. If you're just like, he lived, period, like just get over it. He's alive still. Then I'm okay with it. And then we're not CinemaSins. We're not here to see like, oh, this wouldn't possibly. Like, no, but I actually thought that was a super fun scene.
Yeah.
I was really good. I actually kind of like that last fight scene is the thing was the weakest, when they were all like, where Gamora's fighting Nebula and then the other guys are fighting. Like, well, it was kind of nice for Drax to get his moment and take down. Oh, what was his name? I feel so bad because this is the guy we've completely Korath. Is it Korath or Korath?
Korath, yes, Korath the Pursuer.
Okay, yeah.
Korath the Pursuer. Played by Jimon Honsu.
That's how you say. I didn't want to say his name because I was afraid I would like butcher the pronunciation, so I was just sitting quiet.
It is a Hero Talk tradition to butcher the pronunciation of somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I've heard it pronounced. So
yeah. So sorry if Mr. Honsu, if we screwed that up, he's listening. I'm assuming. If we screw that up, I'm sorry. But Jimon Honsu, who I feel bad we didn't talk about him because I actually liked him in this movie.
It's a shame he was cast for this because I think he would have made an awesome Black Panther.
Yeah, he would have made an awesome. Haven't they cast Black Panther? Didn't I hear?
Yes, they have. Yeah.
Who's playing Black Panther?
Not him.
I think he would have made a good Black.
No, the guy they picked is perfect.
Oh,
like you know that movie 42, the one about Jackie Robinson?
Jackie Robinson, yeah.
Oh, it's that guy?
Guy who played Jackie Robinson.
I would prefer to think it is Jackie Robinson.
Okay, Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson is Black Panther. I knew it.
Yes, he is.
I knew it.
Chadwick Boseman, that's his name.
Chadwick Boseman? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I still feel like you need to find something else for Jimon Hansu to do.
I agree.
Because it was although he was great in it, and
Hold up. Jimon Honsu has played Black Panther.
Did he?
There was a 2010 Black Panther miniseries in which
cartoon, the one on BET, he was the voice?
I don't know what network it was on, but yes, he was the voice of Black Panther in that.
No kidding. Oh, I love that series.
Huh. See, my instincts about him being Black Panther, they were correct. I've never even heard of his Black Panther series, but
someone else thought of it, and I guess they just couldn't work him into the movie, or it wasn't finalized or whatever. Yeah.
Well then, okay, so that's good. So
just the way he says "who" is perfect.
Who are you?
Who? That was
Star-Lord.
I love that gag. It was in the trailer, and I thought it was going to be overdone, and I still laughed in the theater. It's funny because it really makes it better in that, like, why would he have such a silly name? Because he's a little kid who decided that he wanted to have that cool name as Star-Lord.
Well, yeah, I think that's what his mom called him.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm presuming that he liked to sort of play that role up as a hero, and that's what his mom.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, that makes his mom a little creepy.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think this is why she called him that. In the comics, that's actually his title.
Is it?
Like,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like his like he uses it as a code name, when he's out doing his thing. But like his father is some kind of royalty.
Really?
So because he's like the prince or whatever, that his official title is the Star-Lord.
Oh, okay. I had no idea. I thought he just called himself that. The whole I didn't even know that his father was like something special other than an Earth person until the end of this movie. And I was relatively aware that a Star-Lord did exist in the comics. No idea he had anything to do with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy. But...
Yeah.
No, the Star-Lord is Peter Quill in the comics.
Okay.
He actually had his own comics line before they made him one of the Guardians.
Okay. Well, I'm learning all kinds of stuff about the Guardians of the Galaxy today.
Well, yeah. Well, the space section of it is like, with the exception of Silver Surfer and Captain Marvel, it's pretty obscure stuff.
All right, so let's talk about our favorite parts of this movie. Brian, I will start with you.
I've been struggling to pick my favorite part. God, because there's just so many good ones. I guess I'd have to go with like the parts that the part that made me laugh the loudest, and that was the part where Quill hands Rocket the leg and goes, "Okay, here you go," and he's like, "Wait, what? I was just joking. Wait, you okay? What did he look like just hopping around like that?"
That was pretty funny. Yeah. Because it was a pretty dramatic action scene, and they get to this part and he hits the leg, and he's like, realized it was a joke. Yeah, I was a fan. I think we did talk that scene to death, but I think that's a very fine point to be a favorite part of this movie. Axalon, you are up. What was your favorite part of this movie?
For me, it was a toss-up between the prison break scene, or right after they talk with the Collector, he explains with exposition what the Infinity things do, and after his shop basically blows up, and Gamora grabs the gem and walks outside with it, and Rocket just turns around and is like, "Why are you still holding on to that? Why do you still have it? You've been carrying that around in your purse this whole time."
Not a purse, it's a knapsack.
It's like he wanted no part of it. He's like, just drop the thing. Let's just leave right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was just a fun part when like Rocket just decided like he wanted nothing more to do with any of that stuff going on.
Yeah.
So.
You're making me beat up grass.
Yeah, that whole sequence was awesome.
I forgot about that. That was great. Oh man, I loved Rocket in this. He was Now we're gonna get to my part, and I'm gonna say 2 because it's my show and I'm allowed to say 2. So the one part, this is I guess my honorable mention. It's not actually my favorite part, but needs to be discussed. Is I guess I'll stand up to. You happy? I laughed so hard when he just stands up and he's like,
on his little box.
Yeah, on his little box.
Pretty much any scene with Rocket was awesome.
Yeah,
it was.
And honestly, I think like you listen to all of them talk about it like after the fact. Bradley Cooper seems like the one who viewed it, who like most viewed it as just a paycheck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did a good job. There's nothing wrong with just wanting a paycheck if you're gonna knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh yeah. I just mean like he was the one who was like he just seemed the least excited about it. Even Michael Rooker seemed really excited about it.
Well, Rooker
he probably initially got like the thing was like, oh, I'm a talking raccoon.
Yeah. He probably didn't get it, but he's like, oh no, I'll do it. They'll do a good job. And
yeah.
You know what?
Sticks around.
I'm sure they must have gotten all these guys for the 3-movie deal.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure
Or-
they usually sign these huge deals.
Yeah, and like
That's
with
what Marvel
Marvel
does.
these days, they sign up for like 5 movie deals. They can show up in other stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
Chris
the
Evans had
Guardians
to
are
sign up for
somehow going to
6.
be in the Avengers Secret War, right, or Infinity War.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're gonna
yeah,
like
yeah.
have this giant like crossover. Everyone's gonna be in everything, and
Yeah, I need to see that. But
I,
all right,
maybe that's why it's split into 2 movies because there's just so many people.
yeah, maybe. Now, okay, now for my actual favorite part of the movie, without a doubt, unquestionably, I had to mention the one scene because it was a great scene and we hadn't talked about it yet. But my favorite part of the movie, beyond any question, is dancing baby Groot.
Yes.
Ah, yes, yes.
Oh yeah.
I-
They're coming up with a toy for that.
I am getting that toy. Beyond question, I'm getting.
I think it's going to be ready for Christmas, is what I heard.
Yeah, I have the first
Makes
when
sense.
I saw the movie and I looked at that and it was great, and then I remember thinking to myself like, "Hey, we have the technology. Those dancing daisies were everywhere in the '90s.
Yeah.
You gotta slap a Groot on one of those and sell it because I will buy it and I will put it on my desk and it will stay there forever. Because
They're
Dancing
doing it.
Baby- yeah, I knew they were. I got the I pre-ordered. I haven't gotten it yet. The pop vinyl like bobblehead dancing baby Groot.
Mm.
But I want the actual thing, so I may just cancel
Yeah.
the pop one. So sorry, guys.
Yeah, Google search it because I'm pretty sure they're coming up with like an actual one that looks like it and dances. So
Yeah, that's what I want. I want that thing because that was easily my favorite part of the movie and made all the better by Dave Bautista's.
Yes,
Like,
Drax,
off
like
of it,
just
yeah.
like sharpening his little thing that he keeps turning around.
Oh yeah, he's turning around and checking him out. I loved it.
Oh yeah,
All right, so
and he's dancing to young Michael Jackson.
yes, he is. Back when we could all get behind Michael Jackson. But that was I could not stop laughing. I was giggling about Dancing Baby Groot the entire ride home. Days later, like you just can't think about Dancing Baby Groot. And then especially the whole like I'm dancing and then Drax turns around and now I'm not dancing and then he goes to sharpen his knives and I'm dancing again. That was I don't know how I don't see how anyone else could have loved any other scene more than that one. That was phenomenal. All right, let's score this thing. We will go. Axalon, you get to go first. What would you give this movie?
I would give this movie a solid 3.5 talking raccoons with baby Groots out of 5 Draxes.
Wow,
Yes.
3.5 Rocket Raccoons, Baby Groots out of 5 Draxes. That is
Yes.
that is an exceptionally high rating.
Mhm.
It is very hard to get Draxes, much less.
I don't even know what that means, but I'm rating it that.
All right, fair enough. All right, Brian, what would you give this movie?
I would say 10 Kree soldiers stabbed by a tree root out of 10.
Wow. So I would give this movie 4 exploding infinity gems out of 5. Incidentally, didn't he have other infinity gems there too? Like
No, at the end of Thor 2, they showed that he
Yeah.
they had him hold on to the ether.
right. Thought he had more than one in his possession. I thought he said at the end of Thor like he had like 2, 3 left or something like that.
No,
He
he
said
said
one down.
He said 1 down, 5 to go. There are 6 total.
Not
I will say, what was the point of having the Nova Force guard the Infinity Stone?
Well, because they're cops.
they got a big vault.
Yes, but like we know it's just gonna be Thanos is gonna crack the vault open.
Yeah,
and
so
someone's gonna
easily.
break into Asgard and get
so
Professor.
easily.
Okay, it's going to happen. What
Way to
matters is,
spoil the
like,
movies, Marvel, by announcing the Infinity War. Now I know what's going to happen.
I think we all figured it out as soon as we saw Thanos.
Yeah, I think we did. And also, special
Yeah.
shout out to Josh Brolin, who did a good job as Thanos.
Oh yeah,
He only had like 2 lines, but he made them count.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin just has that presence, even when he's not there.
Yes. So Brolin did a good job, and I just feel like it's such a slow burn on Thanos to be introduced in the Avengers in 2000, I want to say 12. And then to not actually come to total fruition until 2016 or 17.
Yeah, I don't understand why they decided to do that. I guess just to like say who was behind Loki doing all that stuff.
Maybe it makes me wonder: did they have this planned out all along, or did they think like we should show Thanos?
I think they knew they wanted to use Thanos because they were already setting up the Infinity Gauntlet by having
Right.
an Infinity Stone in the movie.
Plus, they had
I think
the gauntlet
what it-
in Thor.
Yes, they did. And I think they decided to push him to Avengers 3 because it was like, there's no way we're gonna get through all 6 stones before Avengers 2.
Yeah. So we
let's
could have
just
James Spader as Ultron. All right, well, that's Hero Talk, everybody. I want to thank you guys for coming. Brian, Axalon, thanks for being on Hero Talk.
Thanks for
Glad to
having
be
me.
here.
All right, on behalf of my panel, I want to thank everyone for joining us. If you have a movie that you want us to discuss, or if you want to join our panel, it's easy. You just email herotalk@enthusiacs.com. For more podcasts, Let's Plays, articles, videos, and reviews, visit enthusiacs.com. You can follow us on Twitter @enthusiacs and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/enthusiacs. And as always, we'll see you right back here on the next Hero Talk. I created Hero Talk back in '43. It was World War II, and we needed something to talk about. And so I said, we are heroes, let's talk.